Hello. Hello, everyone. I feel like my lipstick looks really weird because I've reapplied it a couple of times today. You can also hear my cat just like screaming for me. I don't know if it's Goose or Ivy, both are clingy. Apparently, between 6 to 9 months is like the toddler years, like the 3-year-old months of having a kitten. So they're like, hello, we're going to make all the noise and all the chaos. Baby. Okay, let's wait for a couple other folks to come on. Hello, Sharon. Okay, I have my pineapple juice. Oh. Got my pineapple juice, got a whole bunch of other stuff around here. I realized that, as always, the products that I collected for this live and for all my videos are largely eyeshadow palettes because I have a problem. Hey, Lori. Can y'all hear this? I love it. Oh, my sweater looks so weird. It used to be like one of those things you could like stretch over the shoulder. Okay. Okay, so for this live, firstly, I wanted to go live because my internet has been absolute garbage and I've been trying to upload the a video that's like 15 minutes long. I've been trying to upload that since Monday and it's still not doing great. So I think when I do have to run out for a couple of errands tomorrow, I might sit in a McDonald's parking lot for a little bit to get that finished up since, yeah, that's happened with my last couple of videos. My Melton Beetlejuice video ended up being an hour long, and that has been stuck at 10% and then stop. So it's just not a fun time. Hey, Emily. Yeah. So until I can get that all figured out, we're looking into like this is in case his employer has sponsored our Wi-Fi. So I don't know like how we can upgrade that or anything. So I'm going to figure that out. In the meantime, I will probably be doing a lot of lives. Okay. So now that that explanation is out of the way, this live, I wanted to talk about makeup that I love, but I never use and I'm never going to get rid of. Yeah. So we've also considered getting like through Verizon, apparently you can get like a hotspot or something because we have Verizon for our phones. So maybe that can, I don't know. I'm letting Case handle that. They're the more techie human out of all of this. But today, this video is about makeup that I never use anymore, but I'm also never going to get rid of because I am nostalgic. Hey, Annie. So yeah, I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes here because those are the things that I'm most nostalgic about. I think I've kind of realized like I think I've realized that like since I am an eyeshadow palette lover, all the other things I can get like I can let go of really, really easily. But eyeshadow palettes, not quite the same for me. Okay, I did my nails earlier, so I was like checking that out. Okay, so I have a lot of palettes. We'll see what we can get through without talking myself into oblivion here. Let's see. Where do I begin? I have like 4 Urban Decay palettes here just for like a spoiler alert. Because I do genuinely want Urban Decay to be great, but they just not quite. Hey, Kalina. I'm so fucking excited. Okay, so let's begin with my 2 Naked palettes. I have the Naked Smoky and the Naked 3. And honestly, I don't particularly mind either of these. I don't use this one as much anymore. Case and a friend of ours got it for me for my birthday a couple years ago. And honestly, it's so pretty. I do like the reason I keep around my Urban Decay palettes is because I really love Urban Decay's shimmers. Hey, Christine. I love their shimmers so much. Like this one, I know that the reason I don't use it as much is because, let's see, here are the mattes. Hey, Daisy. We have 1, 2, 3 mattes in this entire palette, which, especially considering like, even this one is like, this is the darkest matte, and that's like my skin tone almost, you know, like a mauve version of my face. Those aren't great shades for mattes. Like, I really wish, I like these shades right here, and I really wish they had made like a matte version of one of those and replaced one of the shimmers with it. But this palette has absolutely stunning shimmers. It's just that I simply, while I'm very okay with other people doing like all shimmer eye looks, I feel like that isn't super flattering on me. So I'm never getting rid of this because I do like the rosy tones. And I think that this one is so nostalgic for me. And I do like having a naked palette around. And I do have one other that I'm showing. But I really can't get rid of this because always right around Valentine's Day, I always pick this up and I'm like, oh, I can get at least one good Valentine's look out of this. And obviously, that's not the greatest, you know, it's not the greatest thing to say, you know, hey, Eeyore, like using this once a year, not great. I genuinely think that I use this like around Valentine's Day this year. So I'm not getting rid of this, sadly. Like, I use it just enough, and I know that I would miss like these shades, like this little part here. Hey, Feffy. Because I do like me some rosy neutrals, and I don't know, I'm problematic is what I'm trying to say. I'm your problematic fave. I'm trying to put things back where they belong so I don't end up with like a desk mountain of palettes, because I already have like, here, you can see what my desk is currently looking like. Yeah. I don't need to add to that. Okay, so the other naked palette. Naked Smokey. This is actually my first ever naked palette. I think I'm the only person in the world who actually liked this one. And I know it was because that was right around the rise of the warm neutrals, and I was very much a cool neutral person at the time, very emo, very smoky. So this one was quite perfect. Firstly, this packaging is probably one of my favorite makeup packaging of all time. Like, I think that this really paved the way for Urban Decay, just like sincerely, hugely improving their naked palette packaging, because before, like, I mean, this one is like fine. It's not bad packaging, but this one is so much prettier. Like, I just love looking at this. And the tones, I really like that, like the neutral, like the mattes here have like matching shimmers when you kind of look at the palette, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate that there are like a lot more depth to the mattes there. I think we could have gone with one matte black, but Black Market is, what is it? The finish is called Satin. I can't think of words. Usually I edit this stuff out. Yeah, so this one has a better split, Sharon, yes. A better split between mattes and shimmers. But the reason I don't use it as much is because when I got this, I had like bleach blonde hair. And I feel like ever since I've started doing my hair, you know, as the teal that I've had it for the last few years, I don't like cool tone neutrals quite as much on myself. I think it's because I like a good contrast. And with the blonde, I could kind of get that. But, you know, with this, I don't know. It doesn't look bad, but I definitely gravitate towards a lot more warm tones now. Hey, Cecily. But this palette is so nostalgic that I cannot. I can never get rid of this. This is my baby, especially since, like, not to fall into the fallacy of like, oh, it's been discontinued, you know, but I don't want to never be able to get this back. Yeah. Yeah. I also realized I had like 2 more palettes up here that I needed to grab. Actually, I'll talk about these. That way I can break up the Urban Decay palettes. My 2 Too Faced palettes, I actually do have 1 more, but I actually use that one. I have their Berries palette, and I don't like Too Faced as a brand. I'm not buying from them anymore, but they did a damn good job with that Berries palette. So we have the Cat Eyes palette. This, I think, yeah, I featured this in both of these in my collab video that I did with Mia's Virtual Vanity. But this is the first high-end palette that I ever bought. This is what she looks like now. Which you can see why I would be drawn to this as a baby makeup lover. And that is why I keep it around. Let's see this. I bought this in 2014. I'm not even sure if I could even safely use it colors on my eyes. The only real mattes here are Meow, Kitten, and Panther. So I like the kind of looks that I do now, you really can't get out of this palette at all. This is great when I was like doing a lot of internships in college. I think that this is great. Not now, no. And since the shadows are like 6 years old, I don't want to put them around my eyes. But this is like going to go in my makeup shadow box, my makeup scrapbook or something, because it is the first high-end eyeshadow palette that I ever bought. These are actually really great, and I kind of wish that Too Faced like never really discontinued these, because honestly, Too Faced shadow quality, even if I did still buy from them, aside from that one Berries palette, I feel like they really don't make anything interesting or colorful in a way that I would use. And the shadow quality I've had so much better, but this has a special place in my heart. And then I have the Sugar Pop palette, which again is like that same format, a little bit less well-loved than that one. But it's pretty cute. Again, this is one of my first high-end palettes that I bought because I was like, okay, it's like high-end, but also colorful. And at the time, you really didn't see a whole lot of that in like Sephora brands or anything of that nature. So honestly, I bought it for this shade, the Blue Raspberry shade. Let me show y'all what that looks like. It's decent. I think at the time I was watching Kathleen Lights, and I saw her use that as like a neutral with this on the inner corner when it came out. And I was like, well, fuck, I have to have that. So, yeah, I'm seeing that all of the palettes I have that I'm keeping around are all nostalgia sake palettes. Maybe a little bit of sunk cost fallacy in there. But this is when Too Faced did creative shit and was like relatively unproblematic. I also realized I just wiped my swatch on my leggings, and they're like nice and fresh leggings, and now they have blue eyeshadow all over them, and they're like black. So I'm making great decisions here. Okay. One day I'm gonna give y'all like a little vanity tour or something. Maybe. I don't know. That could be fun. Okay. Now, let's talk about the Balm Nude Tude palette. I really like the Balm shadows. Hey, Isabel. I like the Balm shadows a lot, actually. The mattes are like really nice and soft and easy to blend. Even well, you can tell that the black here has gotten a lot of use from me, because this is probably one of my favorite matte blacks that I have really seen in a palette. Yeah. And I actually got this, my friend Amanda was decluttering this several years ago, and she asked if I wanted it, and I said yes. And I wanted it because of like, I like the Balm's aesthetic, but never really had a chance to buy from them because they weren't in Sephora, they weren't at Ulta, they were in Kohl's, and I would always go and swatch them whenever like I would see them at Kohl's, but you I don't feel like I ever went into Kohl's to buy anything. Like I think I always go in there with my mom for her to buy things, but never me to buy things. So this is really good. I don't use it ever because like, does this look like an Alex color scheme? It's like, okay, like these two shades here, maybe. The rest, well, I like this shade here, Standoffish. That one's really nice. Let me actually show you all that one because it's really pretty. It's like a nice pinky shimmer. Could maybe even make a nice intense highlight, you know? And I did the swatch on my leggings again. Oops. Yeah. I know that, wait a minute, isn't Sephora coming to Kohl's now though? That's cool. Good for them. That might actually prompt me to go into a Kohl's and buy something. But yeah, this is, I think that I keep this around because it is a gift from a friend, and I always think of her whenever I look at this, which makes me really, really happy. But aside from, like I said, aside from like 1, 2, 3 shades here, I don't use this. And I really wish the Balm would come out with color schemes that really interest me because I love how these shadows perform even several years later after I got this. I think I got this like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I want them to come out with other color schemes that I actually enjoy because honestly, they really haven't come out with anything that speaks to me, but I want them to so badly. Hello, Lacey. I'm trying to greet everybody as they come in. Be a good hostess with a mostess, ghostess with a mostess, because Beetlejuice. Anyway. Okay, let's talk about a newer one, the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival. Oh yeah, I forgot to, yeah, give me 1 second. I look at this and to your point, Sharon, about the jumbly, I never quite pay attention to the fact that it is jumbly. Like, I see it when you point it out, but I don't like, it's not like that one god-awful Dose of Colors palette that was, no. It's not like that bad, so it doesn't bother me that much, but good God. Now that it's pointed out, I will probably notice it a little bit more, but anyway. But BH Weekend Festival, you would think that this one would just be absolutely like something I would use all the time. Because, I mean, that color scheme is really, really beautiful. Honestly, this is what kind of got me to enjoy BH's shadow formula. I didn't really buy any BH palettes after this until their collection this year. And I got this a couple years ago when it came out. It came out around my birthday, so I bought it. And it's a beautiful palette. The colors work amazing. This is honestly one of the few good like drugstore colorful palettes that I've really tried. And I was especially impressed by the mattes. Like these beautiful, impressive, iconic, honestly, like really, really good quality. I really like BH's shadows. See, like that looks great. They do really, really well on the eyes. They perform just as well on the eyes as you see in swatches. But I never use it. Exactly. It's beautiful. It works great. I never use it, but I'm never planning on getting rid of it. Because, like, one, it's limited edition, and I feel like this one specifically, Palooza, I feel like it's a shade that I don't quite have anything exactly like in any of my other palettes, so I kind of keep that around. Could I depot this? Probably. Will I actually put in the work? No. Will I probably forget about it if I put it in a magnetic palette? Yeah. Yeah, and this is probably nostalgia, but also I think the fact that This is one of the few drugstore-y inexpensive palettes that I can like recommend as having an actual good formula. Yeah. I'm just, it's a really, really good palette. And I think I bought this when there wasn't a whole lot of like colorful palettes at the drugstore, and I hadn't quite refined my makeup style into what it is now, which is more like grungy colorful, when I kind of realized that that was more where my heart lies. Like I'll still do like some really bright looks occasionally. But I've realized, you know, in the past couple of years as I've refined my style, sorry, I'm paying attention to how much I really need a haircut. But as I've kind of refined my style, I realized, okay, I can objectively like the bright colors, but probably not want to put them on my face all the time. And I think the grungy sort of colors look better with my fashion sense, and they all kind of jive together a lot more. Yeah. So this is, I think I'm keeping this one around just in case, honestly. Yeah. Isabel Beach actually makes some really good shadows. I know they've been hit or miss in the past, but their Sweet Shop palettes are really great. Do we want to go back into the Urban Decay realm? Or, yeah, I've been slowly like snipping off parts of my hair that I think are too long, giving myself a very, very slow DIY haircut. I think it's working, but it also just like annoys me. Anyway, let's drop back into a couple of Urban Decay palettes. So I have the Vice 4 here. Like I said, Urban Decay makes great shimmers, and this palette has some of, I think, their best shimmers. I remember watching Leisha do a video with this when it first came out. I wasn't able to buy it when it first came out because it's like $65, but I had a friend who was selling hers for like half the price back in 2016 or so. And so, okay, you can sell that to me. It's very, very nice. And I did genuinely use a lot of the shades when it came out. And I still do like some of them. Flash right here, Fastball with 1985, this pink. I think they all perform really nicely. They're not quite up to what I would consider like my indie shimmer standards are in 2020, but I think like for what it was when it first came out, it kind of lived that a little bit. Like these shimmers have a lot of depth and dimension. They're very easy to work with. Some of them are kind of on the micro glittery side, but I personally don't mind that in a shimmer. I mind it in a matte, but yeah. And I think that this is like a very nice kind of blend between the grungy tones and the jewel tones. I don't use this because, let's see, let's take, as we have been doing with all of my past palettes, let's take a look at the mattes, specifically Urban Decay's mattes. We have this, and this. This one is actually a shimmer, and this is a matte with micro glitter. Do we see depth? No, we don't. I think that this was very innovative for its time, where I think, when was this released? Like 2014, 2015, you know, when everyone was kind of doing just like neutral in the crease. And if they wanted to do colorful shade, it would be a shimmer all over the lid. So I think that this was very innovative for its time, because most people were in the warm neutral sort of range with an occasional pop of blue all over the lid. But yeah, so it was great for its time, and I don't think that the shadows are particularly bad, but I really, really have to blend this with a lot more mattes in order to get any use out of it. But honestly, I'm keeping it around even just for the packaging, because let's be honest, this is probably one of my, Urban Decay, if nothing else, does great with their packaging. I love it. Yeah. Yes. Urban Decay, the price is the thing that steers me away. Yes, I feel that deep in my soul. I think I was able to justify the price of Urban Decay when I first started getting into makeup, because it was kind of the only really mainstream brand that had kind of that edge to it. When I was, like I said, when I was first getting into makeup, they've definitely lost a lot of what really drew me to the brand, which makes me really sad. I hope one day they're able to get it back. But I was kind of like justifying it by saying like, oh, you know, like there really isn't any other accessible brand that does stuff like this, which was fair at the time, but now I own so much indie makeup that I don't need to be saying that anymore. So yeah. Yeah, and no deepening mattes. Urban Decay has not been great in that regard. And let me share the other Urban Decay palette. I have the Full Spectrum palette. I bought this, one, because rainbow. Two, I think everyone who bought this because they originally wanted the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca remix palette, but weren't able to get it the year before, so they bought this instead. I know that's why I bought it. I know that's why a lot of my other friends have confessed to buying this palette. I don't think that this was that bad. A lot of people really didn't like that, which is fair. You can have your own critiques of it. I don't think that this was a particularly bad colorful palette for its time. Like I said, I think Urban Decay had really good stuff. It didn't particularly age well, but I'm not sure if makeup in general ages well, at least until like 20 or 30 years later, and you look back and you're like, oh, that was a good style, you know? Kind of, you know what I mean? Like as trends kind of move in and out. So obviously, I know much better colorful shadows now, but I do kind of bring this out occasionally when there's like a specific shade that I want. I know I often go for like this row here. I think that they have some very fascinating colors. There really aren't a whole lot of mattes in this palette either. I think there are a lot more deepening mattes. Like Delirious is matte with a little bit of... Actually, I'm not going to claim anything as a matte with micro glitter in this palette because I have used this like when I got it just enough that some of the shimmers have kind of like floated into the other shades. So I can't remember what specifically is a like micro glittery matte thing. So yes, and this is the Urban Decay Full Spectrum. They did just a Spectrum palette the year before, which was still rainbowy, but I think kind of stuck to the pink, purple, green, blue range and didn't have a whole lot of like oranges and yellows like this one. And the packaging, once again, Urban Decay, fantastic packaging. I really wish that they would do, I just want them to do stuff like this in 2020, but like kind of update it for the trends now. Like do what Melt does, Urban Decay. I feel like Melt is the new Urban Decay. Okay, let's talk about a more recent palette purchase. No oranges. I don't think the first Spectrum one did, but the like there was a couple of orangey tones in this one. I just didn't like this one specifically. I like the shade above it a lot more, C's, but I think it's just because that's a really unique sort of orangey pinky shade. I like that kind of a shade. Yeah, but ABH and Alyssa Edwards. I feel like I don't understand why I don't use this more. This is a fantastic palette, and I keep it around because when I want a hot pink, I go with these. This palette will stain the shit out of your eyes, and I feel like every look I've ever gotten out of this palette, I really liked. I think it has like a nice variety of shades. It has like the bi-pride colors, the pan-pride colors, the non-binary pride colors, which I love. But I don't reach for this quite as often as I even do my other ABH palettes. And obviously, I've said it before on this channel, we're not buying from ABH anymore. But I did really like their eyeshadow formula. And I think that this one is great. It's really pigmented. Like all of the colors are very true to color. But, you know, I reach for my subculture more. I reach for my Jackie Aina palette more. I reach for my modern renaissance more. I don't reach for my self-made palette more, but that's only because I've really discovered that I like maybe like 4 shades out of there when I made that my Pan That palette 2020. Guess what? It's not panned. So it's just, it's so good. I know a lot of people didn't care for it. I feel like the fact that it came out right after Riviera kind of made people like it a lot less, because I do know that Riviera had the same like pink, purple, blue, yellow in it, but I think that this one was a lot more vibrant and therefore something I like a lot more. Less neutrals, more like jewelry tones. So this one I need to figure out a way to use more because it's genuinely really good. And I think unlike the others that I've talked about in this video, this is one that I could see myself still getting a lot of use out of if I think I just have a lot of makeup. I know I have a lot of makeup. I'm not decluttering my makeup anytime soon. I think like it's curated enough, but yeah, it's so good. Why do I not use it? This is one I might actually declutter. Actually, I know I just said that I'm not decluttering my makeup anytime soon, but let's talk about this Misha Lou Witchcraft palette. I have a lot of feelings about this palette. This is what it looks like. This is one of my favorite color stories of my palettes in my collection. And you would think that to look at this, that I would use this a lot more than I do. But I never reach into it. Because the Mets, Cauldron and Potion specifically, are fucking impossible. And like, I think I feel about this palette the same way a lot of people felt about Subculture. And I think that Subculture, to me, I personally really liked it. It's a little bit more blending, but it's very workable. In my opinion, I know that's not everyone's, and I had the original formula, but this is a lot harder to work with than that. And even as I've kind of retried it throughout the years, as I've had different brushes, as my makeup skills have improved, I have not had a positive experience with the green and the black mattes on this palette have not been great. The shimmers, now that I've started using glitter glue, work a lot better, but to me, that's not enough for me to enjoy this palette and to bring it up. And also because I remember that Paulina Beauty, I think it was, had a shady experience with the owners of this and of the brand. And I feel one of the things that I have mentioned in videos past is I think my makeup collection would look a lot different if I didn't put myself out to the public as like a figure on YouTube. And I know I'm pretty small, but when I've heard something uncomfortable about a brand, and while I think that there is room for forgiveness, just the owners were very rude to Paulina and said that like they basically lied to her and said it was reformulated and it wasn't, which I don't entirely remember everything, but I remember it was enough that I was like, okay, as much as I would want some of the other palettes from the brand, it's a big no. So I really want to like this because this is such a stunning color story. I kind of want to see if maybe I want to find some indie singles to dupe this out, maybe. Just so I can I feel like if I get rid of this now, I'll have some major FOMO for this color story. So if I can find some other shades that are similar-ish to the shades in this palette, actually for one, because I'm kind of like looking at this and I'm looking at my eyeshadow that I'm wearing today. I did recently, speaking of brands that I've kind of gotten back into my good graces tentatively, as in I'll only buy products from this brand on sale. I did get the Lime Cream Venus 2 in today, and I feel like this little region, kind of what I have on my eyes, can be like part of that perhaps. I don't know. It's just, okay, I've never tried anything from Cindy Grace. I've always heard great things. Their site is just very impossible to navigate. Yeah, and they have only had those same 3 palettes. So, yeah. I wish that this was so much better than it was. This is so disappointing. Yeah, if I can, I'll find more singles that will match some of these shades, because like the shimmers in theory are really great. They just, unless you do things just right, they're not great. So this will be in the declutter pile as soon as I find some singles that like help me get away from the FOMO of this color story. Okay, last palette to mention. The Alchemist palette from Kat Von D. I think that this is still around, but in the KVD Vegan Beauty, and I'm pretty certain it's on sale. I bought this because A for Alex, and it's the Alchemist palette, so I kind of... Did I buy this just for the name? Possibly. Like, as you can see, I've gotten some decent use out of this, specifically with the purple and pink shades. The opal shade, I know that they have, because she's not involved anymore, but KVD has a single of like a bluey tealy shade of like this formula, and if they made a single version of opal, I would buy that. I think though I kind of just hit my breaking point after I realized like I don't like colorful highlighters on myself that much, especially not blue and green, because as you can see I have a lot of pinkness in my undertones of my skin. I'm not wearing any foundation today. Well, tinted moisturizer, so you can kind of see that a little bit extra. So green is very much not flattering to me as a highlighter. I've tried it. I would wear it for the sake of like wearing it and pairing it with some green eyeshadow, but it didn't look that great. Same with the blue. The blue kind of feels like a stripe on my face, and even to a certain extent, the purple does too. So I kind of, aside from the opal shade, I have been using this as an inner corner highlight palette. But I also feel like these two, once I kind of started really hitting pan on this, I like straight up forgot about it. It's great. Like, this is actually a pretty good palette, especially since this was, I remember this being cheaper than the ABH Moonchild palette, which I also wanted around that same time, but couldn't seem to get my hands on because it was like slightly too expensive. I do have like a glow kit from ABH that I could have included in this. I bring it out about once a year, use it for a month, and then forget about it. Yeah, so I think maybe next year I can make a concerted effort to really at least like try and hit pan in the green and blue shades in this, because they're not bad. They make great inner corner highlights, but at this point, that's all it is for me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the Moonchild glow. That was what it was, right? I don't know. They also had the Aurora glow kit, which I almost bought because they had one shade called Luna, which is the name of my mom's cat. And I am a sucker. Let's talk about a couple lipsticks, and then I think that that'll be it. So these are a couple that I've actually recently used a bit more. These are from Atomic Makeup, and this is the shade Spring Affair, and this is Pirate Love. Atomic Makeup has a lot of liquid lipsticks. A lot of them are out of stock. Hey, Toya. And honestly, I love the formula of these. Well, at least, like, they're very comfortable to wear. Let me start with this one. This one I'm pretty certain is, like, done for because it dried out really quickly. I haven't used it that many times. Oh, okay. It feels like it swatches really well on the hand. You have to do a couple layers of it on the lips. Hey, Bethany. We're talking about lipsticks now. We've gone through all of my eyeshadow palettes that I keep around only for the sake of nostalgia or like one shade. So this is actually pretty nice. You do have to use a couple of layers of it on your lips. Like this is such a unique shade that I'm not going to get rid of it simply because of that shade and because it's really comfy. But it does take a little bit of building up when you wear it on your lips. So I don't like that. And since it's very like, it's a very comfortable liquid lipstick. Like, I know a lot of people think that the Colored Rain ones are very like soft and easy to go on and comfy. It's like that, but even softer, which is really, really nice, but not the greatest for your more colorful lipsticks, which is why I say like when they have a big restock, I would love to go and buy a whole bunch of like their browns and nudes, because I feel like that would work a lot better with the formula that they have. Because I feel like that's a lot better for a nice and soft formula, whereas I feel as though more colorful shades that aren't going to match your natural lip tone at all, especially stuff on the polar opposite end of the color wheel, isn't going to work as well in a soft formula that you have to build up, especially since it doesn't quite dry down. And this is Pirate Love, which performs a little bit better on the lips, but I think that this is also because I haven't used this one as much, so it hasn't dried out quite as much. And I did make a concerted effort to use this a couple more times over the summer because honestly, I didn't really use it at all. And I had it for like 3 years. And this is such a neat shade. It doesn't go with like anything that I have at all in my wardrobe, but it's so neat. And I keep this around because I'm just kind of like, well, what if I want this very specific pastel Cookie Monster Grover shade? Like, what if I just so happen to want that one day? For example, I'm also now realizing that that would actually look pretty cool with the filter shade from the Venus 2. So that might be something I try in a couple days or something. So that might be interesting. But I'm saying that I keep these around because these are very specific colors that I don't have anywhere else, and I'll maybe use it about once a year. But even for someone who has like the weird lipstick taste like I do, I don't wear these quite as much. If they were a little bit thicker, a little bit matter, then maybe it might be better. I don't know. Ooh, blown out orange eye with the blue lip. I like that idea a lot because normally when I go for like colorful lips, I always do like a monochromatic look with that. So changing it up would be pretty nice. And I haven't done an orangey eye with a blue lip in a long time. I did that a while ago with, do I still have that shade? So this is doing some makeup nostalgia for me too. Is it this one, Wipeout from Makeup Monsters? Yeah, that's a good look. I'm gonna give that a shot. I'm gonna do that, and I think. Thank you, Lacey. I like that. Okay, so let me talk about the last products that I never use, but I keep around anyway. And these are 2 liquid lipsticks from Fluide. Fluide is a really great brand, and I like them a lot. They were one of the first brands to ever send me PR, which is the nostalgic reason I keep these 2. I don't wear a lot of red lipstick. I feel like I'm very picky about reds, because like my holy grail I had to get rid of because it was getting moldy because I had it for that long, and that was Balm by Urban Decay, and I haven't quite had like the chance to replace it just because I really don't go around like spending $20 on a bullet lipstick, except for that one. But I got these in PR. And so this is in the shade Rosemont, which is like your standard red lipstick. I'm trying to And it's pretty nice. It looks really good. I wore it for Christmas Eve last year. I really like it. Oh, and by the way, the reason I love F-Bomb by Urban Decay is because it looks like the shade that my Nana used to wear. She did not wear F-Bomb by Urban Decay. She wore something from like L'Oreal, which owns Urban Decay, so probably the similarities are there. My Nana would have never worn something called F-Bomb, but I like that being similarity there. Side note. But actually, a continued tangent, my shoulder tattoo, the red of the lipstick, hold on, I'm trying to like pull this down without being Urban Decay because I went in and I wanted this tattoo and I was like, hey, can you give me this very specific red shade? And they were like, hell yeah. So yeah, tattoo show off time. That's a tangent. But I also know that that's like the one tattoo I have that's like not entirely visible when I'm talking on YouTube. So you all know that about me now. Anyway, that was a tangent. And then we have Babe Town, which is where I'm from. Hey, actually, the Fluid liquid lipsticks are named after different gay bars of New York, which I think is pretty cool. This one I wear a lot less because I don't know what the fuck to pair with something like this. It's like kind of pinker, a little bit like a sweeter version, which I don't know how well you can see the difference on camera, but this one is like a little bit pinkier. I don't think I've ever used this one beyond like swatching it on my lips once. And I think it's because to me, red lipstick really, I feel like I only like to pair it with a cat eye of like some black cat eyeliner. And so I never get the urge to pair it with anything else. And I see so many other people doing red lipstick with like bright, funky, colorful eye makeup. But for some reason, I can't envision that on myself. So, oh, Lori, we're just finishing up kind of talking about some lipsticks that I'm never getting rid of. This is for the nostalgia of finally like a brand recognizing me and being like, hey, I want to send you makeup, which is a little materialistic, but I also kind of see that as a little bit of form of validation because that is to everyone here on this platform, and I just fucked that up. So I don't know if you some friends. So Fluid is such a great brand. I love them. They make really cool shit. I need to make an order from them sometime soon. I want to try their nail polishes. That's a little bit of a tangent. Yeah. So I'm looking at my collection, seeing if there's anything else that I never use, but I'm never decluttering. Ooh, mint green eyeshadow. Do I have mint green eyeshadow? Yes, and Fluid makes those, yeah, those highlights that are really, really cool, very glittery, the universal glosses. I think they're really fun. I just always make sure that if I'm going to do any eye makeup with it, I don't use an eyeshadow that has a lot of fallout. Because for some reason, even if I do my eye makeup first and then wipe my face off, later on, if the eyeshadow is any form of fallouty, it kind of gets stuck in that even when you kind of set your face. So that is just like a side note. I don't think it's bad. I absolutely, let me see. This is giving me feels because I love those. Okay, I have two of them. Where's my favorite though? Nah. Yeah, okay. Well, I can't find my favorite shade, but I do have two of the others that I really liked. Well, there are only 3 shades of it. Is it up here? Yeet. No, that's glitter. That's glitter. And that's glitter from them too. Cool. I don't know where my favorite shade is out of all of them, but just to show them here, I have Rain and Elysium. My favorite is Roxy because that one's like a nice pink. And it's just because this never really quite sets down. So this is Elysium, which is just like a pearly white. But as you can see, it has like goopy. But it looks really cool because it does kind of have a sheer base. So I feel like this could be very complimentary on a lot of skin tones because the shimmer is like the only pigment in it. So even though it's a white shimmer, I think it could look good on like a variety of skin tones, which I know is one of the things that they really meant to do. And then Rain, which is a little bit less goopy than the white one. I feel like the white one is the goopiest out of all three of them, but Rain and Roxy are a little bit more stiff. So this is what Rain looks like. You can see it has a little bit more blue. The brand is Fluid Beauty. It's a queer makeup brand, and they make some really good stuff. I love their lip glosses are my favorite. I'm not a lip gloss person, but I love their lip glosses. So that's Rain. And then wait, I see it. Here's my favorite, Roxy. And babe, you good? Okay. I love you too. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm gonna have questions when I go out for dinner. Okay, Thorn is live, so let me just show y'all Roxy real quick, and then we can end this stream here, and I can go cook some dinner while watching Thorn on Twitch. So this one, Roxy is the stiffest, I would say, out of all three of them. But since I do love me a good pink highlight, let me swatch right here. There you go. It's really nice. I like it a lot. That one is my favorite out of all three, but it all depends on what kind of highlight you like. I like a pinky tone one. They're really nice. You just either have to set your face or not do a whole lot of eye makeup because they do end up a little bit sticky on the skin. And I don't really set my face with powder. Sometimes setting spray will help it melt in a little bit, but it still has a little bit of tackiness to the skin. So I just prefer to stay on the safe side and not do a whole lot of like dramatic fallouty makeup when I use one of these. So, okay, that is it. I'm gonna go cook myself some dinner. I'm thinking stuffed spaghetti squash tonight, and I'm gonna go watch Thorns live. Y'all should too. Thank you for coming. This was a really fun little live. I'm gonna try and actually get that video that I've been promising up very soon. Yeah, thank y'all. I love y'all. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful night. Bye. End stream.